6 o'clock. The October 21st meeting of the Bay City City Commission will come to order. The city clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Rivet.
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
Brunner.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yep.
Gerard. Runberg.
Yes.
Clements.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
Is there a motion to excuse Commissioner Gerard? I heard from him earlier. He's at a training. Commissioner Hilliker?
Move to excuse
You.
Gerard.
Is there a second? Commissioner Brunner?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any objection to excusing Commissioner Gerard? Seeing none, Commissioner Gerard is excused, and we have a quorum. We have 4 presentations on our agenda tonight. 2 are relatively short, 2 are longer. So we will start with the swearing in of the new 7th Ward City Commissioner. Mr. Runberg, if you want to come up to the front, and if you have, if you have family that wants to join you, they're more than welcome while you swear in, or they can stay back there. It's their choice or your choice, their choice. Go from there.
Wherever, just stand behind him, wherever you want to be. All right. I'll have you repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Christopher Runberg,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Michigan,
of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the
the
office
duties of the office
of 7th Ward Commissioner
of 7th Ward Commissioner
of Bay City,
of Bay City,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
That's it. I'm going to have you sign here. And sign right there for me.
Thank you very much. Next order of business is the 2024 Master Plan Update, and Mr. Multaine looks like he's getting ready on the computer.
Okay, good evening. My name is Terry Multaine, the Planning and Zoning Manager. What I'd like to do is just get started with a couple of slides from the last presentation that I did in July, just establishing the relationship between the master plan and the zoning ordinance, following the Michigan Planning Act. There's two different acts, Act 33 of 2008, and then Public Act 110 of 2006. And a little bit later, I'll have a slide showing a little bit more of the relationship of the two. Some key dates that I had a slide up here last time, the March 18th date, which is when the City Commission released the distribution of the master plan for public comment. In May, there was a resolution for the City Commission to have the adoption option after the Planning Commission. And then on August 21st, the Planning Commission did hold the public hearing. The document that I had printed and you have a copy of, it's organized by topics. And each of these chapters were established by the consultant in 2017, and we had kept the same topics and headings. And then here's just the plan itself, an overview. It has policy statements within it. There's some graphs, different techniques that might be called out in some of the sidebars. And then each of the different chapters has a strategy and then the implementation. The implementation, those were, again, shortened from the 2017 plan, and I'll show some of those. Here is the edits that we did make. In the last presentation, I didn't share this information, so I'd like to just highlight a couple of things. We just made, there were some corrections that were made, such as new acronyms for different agencies, so any spelling edits that we noticed we had changed. There was changes to the organizational goals and the plan references to newer data that we had available. We removed some of the earlier comments from the public open house and the My Remarks webpage that we had back in 17, and we replaced it with some of the survey information. In Chapter 1, the largest update in this chapter was the public engagement section. Instead, that reference was from the survey that was distributed during the 63-day period. There's discussion regarding the active strategic marketing plan was added under the marketing and branding. In Chapter 2, some of the land use policy were reorganized. The 2017 plan had made mention of a form-based code. We replaced the form-based code with easier to, I guess, work with is the development design guidelines that is recommended as part of the new zoning ordinance. The zoning plan that is in the document was just amended slightly for different density scales. The land use strategies were reorganized, and again, reference to that form-based code were changed. In Chapter 3, we removed the first housing policy. It was adequately covered by other policies. In Chapter 4, we had previously several pages dedicated to complete streets and connectors and urban streets. That had been removed because our current plan is the 2023 Transportation Action Plan that we now follow. Chapter 5, we updated some of the green infrastructure and moved that to a different chapter. Chapter 6 updated some of the strategic goals based on the economic development strategy that was adopted in 2021. Different, again, information was updated as needed, and we added something that was missing from the 2017 plan, which was a discussion about the benefit of the airport. Just a few more on this topic. Chapter 7, we reorganized some of the amenities there and recreation activities and updated the calendar of events and festivals that was listed. In Chapter 8, it talks about the capital improvement plan. That was updated to reflect our current process and practices, and then there were eliminated some strategies due to the CIP process that we do. And then last, there were some revisions to the future land use map. I had covered that again, or I'll cover that again towards the end here. These are the slides of each chapter just as a comparison. Here it's the comparison between the connecting strategies between the 2017 and the 2024 plan. The equal signs means for the most part that those same strategies were carried over to the new 2024 plan. And those are listed in the handout that I had, kind of an executive summary where each of these final 2024 strategies are listed. And I'll just go through a couple of these. These are the land use chapter, and again, for the most part, those equaled out. The land use strategies we did change, which is due to the form-based code that I had mentioned. Okay, housing, that we did take a look at some of the outdated information that was there. There were some dates that we were able to expand some of the data just slightly to give a more current picture for 2024. And again, those strategies, which I'm not going to read each of them, but these are the ones that are the 2024 document. So each of these, this is the connections. And again, this is just kind of to show you each of the chapters, how the strategies that were developed in the 2017 plan, for the most part, carry over. And then like I said, I do have those highlighted. Economic development, this is probably the chapter that did change the most because there was a lot of new information that our economic development team was able to update. So we had newer information in that section, reflecting again current plans. Let me just get through these. And then in the summary there, I do have the implementation matrix, which is just identifying different things and responsible parties and some of the time frame, and then how it matches up with that master plan. So these are the regulatory practices. And as I mentioned at the July presentation, there was one change to the zoning or to the future land use map. There were property owners on the Arbor Street that had their property as park and open space. Several years back, there was an idea to have the river walk along there, but that has since changed. So the new future land use map is reflected just to take that designation and that concern of those property owners away. Here's the dates again, just kind of highlighting our key milestones as we move through the process. It's been actually since 2022 is when the Planning Commission first started the review, but this is action that has been taken just this year. And again, here we are tonight with the final adoption option. This slide is to represent the redevelopment ready communities and the requirement or the best practices as they use the term. And here on the left is on the top about the master plan. And those are the strategies or best practices that we're achieving with the adoption of the master plan. And then on the right-hand side, for the Planning Commission and Board, you will see each year the RRC program requires the Planning Department have an annual report, and specifically how the master plan was discussed or what action may have been taken. So any of the previous annual reports I've had and have shared with the City Commission, the 2024 plan or annual report will now emphasize and have a section on the master plan, and that will be one way as we move through the year to make sure that the master plan is continuing to be part of the Planning Commission. And also with the Planning Commission, I'll be having several new members appointed, so a lot of education for my new members when they get started also. That concludes my statements.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission have any questions for Mr. Multain? Seeing none, I have a couple. Is this presentation will be made available like on the city website as soon as possible?
Yes, I can have that on the webpage.
Awesome. I know it was like, even this slide is pretty tough to read if you're out in the audience or watching at home. So having that available would be much appreciated, I'm sure. Thank you. The other one I have is on page 6 of the proposed master plan. There's this map of target investment areas.
Yes.
It aligns fairly well with the housing study from 2016. 2016. So it misses kind of 2 spots, down center, and I understand that one, but the other one, missing Broadway, I don't completely understand that one. What was the reasoning for leaving the Broadway like business district out?
Well, that map was actually created based on the housing study. So in the housing study, there was different surveys. They went out and did a drive of the area, and what the housing study, the 2016 housing study, was trying to do is to look at limited resources and where would some of the city investment best be spent. It was in no way meant to exclude other areas. Matter of fact, if any property was eligible for any of our programs, then they would, obviously apply. But it's just a concentrated effort to focus, and I will have to say and rely on the housing study, because that's how Carlisle Wortman generated that map. And then for the review, we didn't change that map.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. If there are no others, we'll move on. Seeing none, thank you very much
Thank you.
for your time. The next item is the Community Development Block Grant Certificate of Recognition for being an original participant in the Community Development Block Grant Program in the state of Michigan. We were given an award by HUD, and I don't have enough hands. I'll read it to you. Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is presented to the City of Bay City from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for being an original participant in the Community Development Block Grant Program in the state of Michigan. Here's our certificate. We will get it to the right place within the city. Thank you. Commissioner Clements?
Yeah, I have a question on that. Just, does anybody know when we actually started that? So what year does that refer to us starting it?
This is the 50th year of Community Development Block Grant. So I would assume if we were one of the first, or we're in the first batch, we would.
In 1974.
Yeah,
Awesome, thank you.
thank you. Okay, and the last presentation is the Wake Zone Study presentation, and this is Ms. Phillips.
I'm Rachel Phillips. I'm the city engineer, and I'm here to talk about the Saginaw River Wake Zones. And there's going to be a public hearing and a resolution later that'll come up in the meeting. Figure this out. Okay. So currently, there's no wake zones in Bay City that extend from, okay, this isn't going to work for me, is it? I think it has to warm up.
You have to point it at the computer.
Oh,
Still not working.
okay. So in Bay City, the existing no wake zones start at the southern tip of the middle grounds and go up to Lafayette Bridge. Then you're allowed to have a wake between there and Vets Bridge. And then from Vets Bridge to the railroad bridge is a no wake again. And then once you get to Bangor, Hampton Township, and Essexville, those are all no wake to the rest of the mouth of the river. So Bay City is actually the only entity in these 5 municipalities that has an area where you can have a wake. So discussions with the neighboring municipalities and the DNR began in 2016, but nothing really moved forward from that. We acknowledged that the wakes need to be 200 feet from the shoreline in order to protect it, but at the time, there wasn't really a plan to be able to delineate and enforce that, to be able to show here's where you can have a wake, here's where you can't have a wake. And also part of that, the Saginaw River has historically been mainly used for industrial material transportation, but over time, the use has evolved from commercial to recreational and even more residential. So we've got more people using it with a variety of reasons that they're using the river. The discussion started back up this year with the DNR, the Coast Guard, and the Sheriff's Department, along with the 5 adjacent municipalities, including Bay City. And we're looking at a plan to be able to keep the wake in the shipping channel. And to describe what that is, currently we have wake zones and no wake zones. So it's either open water or no wake. That's across the whole river, and either you can go up to 55 miles an hour or you can't have any wake whatsoever. What we've discussed this year, the municipalities and the DNR and Sheriff's Department has been part of it. They don't really have a lot of opinion into it, but we have them in on these meetings because anything that we ask for, the DNR decides, is got to be enforceable. So we want to make sure that they're on board with us, that we don't say, here's what we want to see, and then it's not able to be enforced. We actually do have a no-wake zone. I didn't point it out there that half the river is adjacent to Bangor Township and half the river is adjacent to the city. One side is no wake, one side allows a wake. So it's really hard for them to do that when it's back and forth. So another reason we're looking at trying to make everything even. So the main concept for potentially allowing in the wake in the river is the open water channel. The open water channel concept would allow a wake within the shipping channel, so in the middle where you see the water, which has permanent well-visible markers. So the shipping channel has markers, red and green. It's visible at any point you're at. You should be able to see those markers. Outside of the shipping channel, there would not be a wake allowed. And most areas outside the shipping channel are at least 200 feet from the shoreline or seawall or marinas. State law does not allow a wake within 100 feet, but 200 feet would protect the shoreline and the marinas from any kind of damaging wakes, and even from the most damaging activities like wakeboarding. So wakeboarding, I don't know if you know, causes, or you have to use a certain wake in order to do that, and it causes a lot of damage and a lot of distance with their wakes. So the studies have shown that 200 feet, you're safe. I mean, are you gonna feel a little bit of rocking maybe, but there won't be anything damaging if you're at least 200 feet away. Then, also in the no-wake areas, it provides a space for fishing and kayaking and other activities, whereas where we have a full open water, they don't have any protection from the boats that are going full speed. I'm sorry, I had all that on there, I didn't click it. So the first thing we did as a group was to conduct a public online survey. We conducted that from April 24th to May 31st this spring. And so it was just over 30 days. It was online. We had a great turnout of 552 participants. And all the municipalities advertised it on their pages. We had it on Facebook. I know the libraries had it and all sorts of stuff. So the questions were relative to several different things. We had types of watercraft on there, and all of these were listed as the participants used all of these. So we had a great diverse group of people that were participating in this, everything from kayaks to speedboats. So part of the questions were obviously the type of vessel, how the participants use the river, such as water sports, sailing, leisure boating, rowing for their business, etc. We asked about the opinions of the wake and the no-wake zones and the open water channel. We asked about any kind of concerns that people would have if we were to change the wake zones from where they are right now. And we asked opinions on what the impacts would be. So here's a few of the results that we had. The one I want to talk about first were the concerns. 46% of the participants said they had no concerns over an open water channel. So that's what most of the survey was asking about, open water channel versus the way they are currently with the no wake for most of it. Of the other 54, 18% were concerned about safety, 16% said unnecessary damage to the vessels, then also interruption to water sports such as fishing, kayaking, etc., and the erosion to the shoreline. And all of those we do address in one way or another when we move forward with proposals. The next one I mentioned was that we asked what the anticipated impacts would be from the people participating in the study, and 68% said they didn't expect to see any negative impacts, that it would be positive impacts if we were to go to an open water channel. 25% said they thought that they would see a negative impact, and 7% didn't expect to see any at all. So from the survey, basically what it comes down to as far as us submitting a request to the DNR to do a study is, does the public support changing the no-wake zones? And 76% did say that they would support changing the no-wake zones over the way they are right now. So this has been a topic discussion for many years. The main hurdle with the lengthy no-wake zones, and it's the travel time from Bay City to the Saginaw Bay. The travel time from Bay City to the mouth of the river takes over an hour, and many boaters end up avoiding Bay City, and they launch boats or use marinas that are closer to the mouth of the river to save time from the traveling at the no-wake speed. So if you look at the marinas that are closer to the bay, they're packed full, they've got wait lists. You move into the city, you go as far south as Skipper Buds, and you see a lot of empty slips. It's a really big thing when you're out on the boat and it takes you over an hour to get somewhere and you're not moving, you have no breeze. It's something that people tend to avoid. Another thing is, we have a lot of people that fish, and if they were to launch their boats in the city and they want to go out to the bay, they're losing an hour out there and an hour back of daylight and fishing. The next part is the bridge scour. The current shifts from the wake to no wake are at the bridges. So already, due to the flow of the river, our bridges are labeled as scour critical. Now, when the boats speed up or slow down suddenly, you're changing and you're adding additional turbulence to the water, and that causes additional scour to the bridge piers and the abutments. So changing from wake to no wake is also damaging to the river. Local businesses adjacent to the river are not benefiting to the fullest extent. Local marinas, like I said, are not filling potential seasonal and transient slips, and some are barely used at all. And then we also, shops and restaurants on the river or within walking distance of the river don't see a lot of business coming in from boaters. And with the proximity to the river and the benefits that Bay City has with that, it's, kind of sad to see. So there's numerous benefits to an open water channel. Most are due to cutting down on the travel time of the no-wake zones. The trip to Saginaw Bay from Bay City would take about 20 minutes instead of over an hour. So with that, one of the examples I use is that, in the weekends, the summer, perhaps, there's hundreds of people that go to Boaters Beach or out on the bay. It comes to dinner time, and they all go home, or they go to Castaways on the Coquitlam River, because at that point, nobody wants to drive an hour plus into Bay City to get something at a restaurant and then come back. If it only took 20 minutes, you'd see a lot of people coming in, docking at Midland Street or downtown or uptown, walking to a restaurant, hitting some shops. You could do that during the day. I think you'd see a lot more business. I know from my personal standpoint, we do like to go into the city from the boat, but you have to have 2 hours to get in and get back out. The ability to attract people by boat would allow for new opportunities for businesses and development along the river. And most people using the river would give opportunities for redevelop and repurpose some of the older industrial areas and old businesses. So we have a lot of undeveloped areas and a lot of areas that we're seeing businesses go under, or the industrial that's getting cleaned up. There's a lot of opportunities there that if we had, constant flow through there, we'd be able to bring more people in and more businesses in. The fishing tournaments, which I'm sure someone will talk about later, the number of fishing tournaments being hosted by Bay City has been on the rise. It's great. We're getting 2, 3, even more every year. These tournaments bring in thousands of people to Bay City for a weekend each time they have these. And these people stay in local hotels, they eat at local restaurants, they visit local shops. However, as it is, the fishermen lose 2 hours of fishing time and daylight on each trip due to the travel time. And one thing, we have gotten complaints from some of the anglers and some of the groups in these trips, or these groups from the tournaments, that say, this is really difficult for us to do this, and we're really hoping that we don't end up losing some tournaments. We want to bring more in. It's something, the Saginaw Bay is really good with that kind of thing, and we're in the perfect position for it. With Winona Park and Vets Park along the river, as well as the Riverwalk and Bigelow Park, voters could add to the participation in special events, bringing in more revenue and new customers to the city when they come to an event and are exposed to all the other things that Bay City has to offer. Many boaters tour the shoreline of Lake Huron during the summer along the whole state. If they had reasonable accessibility to Bay City, that would bring in additional tourism. DNR regulates the local watercraft controls in Michigan, and there is a specific process to request a change in those local watercraft controls. First, the municipality has to submit a resolution to the DNR requesting a study be performed. And each municipality submits an individual resolution, and they perform a study based on that request. However, since we have 5 municipalities this point, Frankenmuth Township has passed a resolution with almost exact language that we have, and Hampton Township has also. Bangor Townships did not pass, but they're planning on running it again after the new year. So, once the DNR receives the request from the municipality, they'll perform an investigation and inquiries, and that's outlined by law how they do that. Then they'll provide the city with preliminary report and findings, and then hold a public hearing to gather public input. So once they get a preliminary idea of what they're seeing, they're gonna go to the public and say, what are your thoughts? And they'll consider all of that. Once that's complete, they'll finalize their study and they'll submit it to the city. Now, they'll either say, we think that what you have right there with your wake and no wake is how it should be, or they might say, here are things that we think should change. And then the city will have the opportunity to approve it as a whole or reject it as a whole and keep the current configuration. We can't pick and choose what they say. It's either all yes or all no. So with the resolution that's on tonight's agenda, it is a request for the DNR to perform a local watercraft control study. There's 4 requests that we added to this on the resolution that we worked with the other communities. And the first was to create an open water channel configuration during daylight hours. So we can ask the DNR to look at specific things. It doesn't mean that'll be their findings, but at least they know where we're coming from on things. So it would be an open channel during daylight hours. The second goes along with that no wake outside of the channel. The city is requesting to include the language for a 100-foot buffer in the areas that have seawalls where the channel is wide inside the city. That's part of the state law, but as a group, they wanted that added just so that it's also in the ordinance, or the watercraft control. And then the last one is to consider the speed limit to be at 35 miles per hour instead of 55. And that came from, at 35 miles an hour, most boats can be on plane. And that's what you don't want to see as far as damage goes. You don't want them trying to get on plane. You don't want them going too crazy. So you want them to go on plane so they're even, and there's very little wake that way that could be any kind of damage. So you're not churning up everything that's underneath. That's all I had, really fast. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Commissioner Hilliker, and I see Commissioner Clements.
So you did mention that, I believe it was Hampton and Frankenlust passed,
Correct.
and Bangor did not.
Correct.
So do we know about Essexville?
They have not run theirs through yet, and I'm waiting to hear back from their city manager on that. I actually had scheduled a meeting for the 5 of us to get together and go through the ordinances and kind of talk a little bit more, and 2 of them kind of went through and said, oh, we already ran it. So the language was kind of what we had all talked about, and it addressed the concerns that we'd had. So Essexville hasn't done anything with theirs just yet.
So just as a clarification, if, with Bangor's not passing, do we still have the ability to submit just without them?
We can. I don't know how the DNR will see that. Bangor did say that they were planning on running it again after the first of the year. I think they were looking more at doing a presentation to kind of give a little bit more background and explain a little bit more. From what I understand, they said they just kind of said, here, do you want to vote for this? And there wasn't a lot of background on that. So they're going to take that back through with a little more explanation.
Thank you. Commissioner Clements?
My question was answered just now, thanks.
Thank you. I apologize too. The microphone seems to be on the fritz.
Right.
IT has been notified, so I don't know if they're coming to fix it in the short term or not, but that's what's going on, so I apologize. Does anyone else have comments on this as well? Commissioner Hilliker?
Sorry, I thought of one last one just to kind of clarify as we're going along. This is just to get the study done, and then with their findings, we can still approve or not approve of whatever they come back with.
Correct. This is just to ask for them to perform the study.
All set? Okay. I have two questions. Slide 4 says 200 feet, slide 12 says 100 feet on the proposal distances. Just want to reconcile those two,
Slide 2,
slide 4 and 12.
4, and 12.
Most areas over 200 feet
Right.
of no wake zone, and then the prohibit watercraft wakes within 100 feet of seawalls.
So yes, so what we're asking is 200 feet. So what we're saying is if there's an open water channel and you look at outside of that channel we mapped the channel and we mapped the shoreline and the marinas and that kind of thing. So going through almost everywhere along that channel, we've got over 200 feet of a buffer through there. And that's what's recommended to make sure there's no damaging wakes. Now, state law says you have to be at least 100 feet. Part of what they were asking, the other municipalities were asking for, was they said the seawalls specifically, because of the way the water bounces off of it, if the channel's wide there, they said they just wanted extra language to say you have to be 100 feet away from that, even if the channel goes all the way to the seawall.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have is there's obviously a large displacement difference between a 20-foot fishing boat and a 500, 600-foot freighter that comes in. What does that do for those boats, those large commercial boats that come in? Are they allowed to create wake? Because their wake is significantly
They
larger.
already do create wake.
But
Actually, the ordinance, I don't have it with me. One part of the ordinance actually says that it is for recreational only and personal watercraft. Some of them don't say, because there's several different ordinances based on where you are in the river. Actually, the freighters can go through as fast as they can. They're gonna cause less damaging wake than a wake boat with a wakeboarder on the back. It sounds crazy. They've done these in-depth studies, and the DNR actually recognizes one of the studies and was adamant that we go through that. And yeah, the wake boats, when they're actually got somebody wakeboarding and they have it at their ideal thing for wakeboarding, that's the longest distance of damage. The ships that come through is a different kind of wake, and it doesn't cause the damage that something like that would.
sure. The wake boats, they have a sharper wave, so they're more steep, if you will, and they have a shorter period. But the big freighters, if like you've ever been near one
Oh, yeah.
on the lakes, they have an 8-foot wake when they're at speed.
Right.
So like the
They
boats
wouldn't be
that are
able to
along,
go.
that's
They wouldn't be
significant
able to
damage.
go any faster than they already do.
Okay.
They aren't held to the no wake as it is going through. They push a wake regardless, so they're not held to the no wake speed as it is right now.
Okay, I just want to make sure that they're not,
No, absolutely.
flooding the city with an 8-foot wave or something like that.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
I've been drowned by a couple of those over time, I think.
Yeah, they're pretty big. Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move on. Thank you very much. Next order of business is adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Hilliker?
Move to adopt the agenda?
Thank you. Commissioner Brunner?
Second.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission wish to add an item to the agenda? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Burney,
No.
Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Brunberg,
Yes.
Clements,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Rivet,
Yes.
6 yes.
Next order of business is the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? Commissioner Clements?
Reports of officers, number 11, the Commission as a whole resolution approving application for 6-year extension of the Oprah for 966 LLC at 966 East Midland.
Okay. Resolution 11 regarding 966 East Midland has been removed. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from the consent agenda for consideration on the regular agenda. If anyone wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, sign and print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item that you wish to have considered on the regular agenda.
Alex DeWitt, 329 South Erie. Reports of officers 4. And then as a note, somebody left their glasses up here for presenting.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the end.
Reports of officers 4 regarding Bay Future.
Bay Future, okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent agenda?
Need a motion?
I apologize, we need a motion. Commissioner Brunner.
Move to approve.
We need a second. Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please now call the roll?
Commissioner Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Grunberg,
Yes.
Clements,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Privet,
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion is adopted. Next order of business calls for remarks of the mayor and commission. Does anyone wish to make any remarks? Commissioner Clements?
Yes, thank you. Just want to say that I'm happy to see Mr. Runberg sitting next to me. Ironically, I didn't realize this. I met Mr. Runberg for probably the umpteenth time a month or so ago and didn't even know that I actually knew him when he reminded me that he was one of my students. So it kind of showing my age a little bit, but it's actually a good thing because the ones that give you the most problems are the ones that you remember, and I didn't remember him at all, so I'm sure he was a pretty good kid back then, and I'm really happy to see him here sitting next to me. I'm happy that he has so much enthusiasm for this role and for the city, and I think he's going to be a great commissioner. So, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernie?
Yes, I have some questions I wanted to ask. First, I want to ask about the homeless people. I see that they were put out of the tent city. We got a big problem with that. We had a big argument about this, about the funding for the CDBG funding money that we acknowledged. 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, we gave money of that CDBG funding money. We acknowledged it. It was altogether, it was $3 million to put together the Labadie lofts that we said, or I was mad about it, they were going to be for youth that they ended up getting out of foster care. And so once they got out of foster care, they transferred into these Labadie lofts. Well, I've been inside. I talked to Mr. Strutt. I've seen all of these houses or the apartments on the inside. I want to know, why can't we house them until winter is over? It's getting cold. So I'm asking, we did spend that money, and it was the CDBG money. We talked about it. I have proof of that. Can we use them to house the homeless?
So we don't own the building or the organization, but the organization, Good Samaritan, could do that if that was something that they wanted to do, but they have their own board that makes that decision, not us.
That has nothing to do with Samaritan Shelter. We gave that money 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. We used that CDBG money. It's a known fact we used it. And I want to know, I've been inside of there. It's called Labadee Lofts. We, the chambers, voted that money in. We used it. And I want to know, because I've been inside everything. I fought with Ms. Kiesel about it. Those places are empty. They only use 5 of them. I want to know, why can't we house those homeless people in that place? It is getting winter. They need a place. And they can get funding for that. They need a place instead of sleeping on the street uptown. It looks horrible. They're going to be all uptown. Crime is going to even, we're going to have a lot of crime. We need to figure out what we're going to do with them.
Certainly. So Labadee Lofts is owned by the same parent organization as Good Samaritan, and I might be under Good Samaritan. I'm not positive of their structure, but they're an organization that we gave money to alleviate the homeless population's problems, and that's what that money went to, was building those apartments. So we can call on Good Samaritan to use those apartments, absolutely, and I would be happy to right now publicly say that I hope that they do, and I think you agree with me on that.
It's our money.
But it's not our decision. So it's the same as any other organization that's not us. We are not their board. They have their own board.
By law, we are not supposed to give money to organizations. We're not supposed to do that. That money, we're not. You can look it up. We're not. It's a state law. We're not supposed to donate money through the chambers. We took that 2018, 2019, 2020, and we had a discussion about that in chambers. It was CDBG funding. I went inside. I didn't even care for what they did. I asked for Sue Coggins to even come in for code enforcement. I was upset about it because I felt that it wasn't good enough for these young people to transition to. So I know for sure they're good enough for homeless people to go in those places. So what are we going to do about it? Can we get together and figure this out? Because right now it's winter. They're already moving into Vets Park. So
Sure.
what are we going to do?
So again, it's a grant, not a donation. There's a legal difference there, but I understand. So I personally would love to see that happen, and I think that the majority of this board agrees. We don't want to see empty houses while there are people living on the street. We don't want that. So I hope that that's something that the board of Good Samaritan are watching and paying attention, and they're going to do that. But we gave the money to a different organization, and that organization is the one that makes that decision. That's how grants work. So we give them money for a specific thing. They did the specific thing, which was to renovate the old church, and that's meeting the criteria of the grant. So now they have that upgrade, which offers more services to the residents of Bay City. But that's their decision ultimately from here on out, because it's their property to make that decision with.
We own the Labadee Lofts. The city owns that. We own Labadee Lofts.
We don't. We do not.
Okay, I have another question for you. I wrote down 3 of them. The power station on 26th Street. All right, wintertime is coming with that. It was supposed to, in June, you were supposed to start repairing it. The grass is up to my forehead. It's getting wintertime. The power is going out more often. A lot of people, they use oxygen. they're not going to have heat because it's going to take a lot of time for, we don't have a lot of workers to get over there soon enough, or yada, yada. So since they didn't start fixing on it, what are we going to do about that?
I think they have. Is that right? They have started working on it. They're trying to get it done before winter, right? Or more done? Yeah, if Mr. Webster wants to come up, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say it's in our packet. It's communication number 9.
Yeah, so as we had mentioned, there is an action plan for the 26th Street substation. If you review in this week's packet, you will find that every month or once a month, we do provide an update. It's usually at the last meeting of the month or the second meeting of the month that provides where we are in the progress. For this particular stage of the process, it is looking at each individual circuit. So those are the lines that run out into the neighborhood. We've completed Circuit 1. We are almost completed with Circuit 2, which is actually ahead of schedule. According to our plan that was initially provided to the commission, Circuit 2 was supposed to be done at the end of November. I suspect that it will be done within, the next couple of weeks. And then we'll move on to Circuits 1 and 2 are the last 2 that we would need to do. There's a timeline that's in there that guidelines when certain things are going to be done. And if you go ahead and review that, I do update that. We do put additional notes of any of the findings that we found during those circuit inspections.
So will that take care of, like I said, the 26 power station? Will that take and handle the whole community in that section? Because it's a really bad situation because there is not enough power going to cover that area, or all of us, So how many do we need to have done? Because I'm seeing it on our agenda, and it's saying that we need to start, a lot more need to be done. So what I'm saying is wintertime's coming. So are you going to have enough done? Because it's saying 2025 here. So I'm saying wintertime's coming. So, I'd just like you to answer that question because, it's a lot more happening.
Sure. To answer your question, so in this particular instance, what's happening with the action plan here is above and beyond typical maintenance that we would normally do, for our circuits out there. The outages that occurred at 26th Street in that very short period of time were unfortunate. They weren't because of aging infrastructure. They weren't because of employee error. It was simply because, going back, there was a squirrel in one of them, there was trees in another one, there was lightning in one of them, and I think the last one was wind. Things that we cannot necessarily control, as a human. It's Mother Nature that would cause the majority of those incidents. What we have done by coming out and saying, we understand there was frustration. We're going to do above and beyond, what would normally be there and inspect every last inch of that particular circuit, or all the circuits from that substation, to make sure that we can do everything in our power to make sure that there isn't any, issues that we could prevent. And that's what we're doing.
Will we be hiring more people to help us through the winter, to help with if any of the power goes out? Because, we've had such a big problem. And I'm just worried about that because, when winter comes, we have hard winters lately. So I'm just wondering, are we going to do that also?
So we are currently almost 100% staffed in our Lime division. We have one vacancy. We actually have an interview or 2 interviews scheduled in the next coming weeks. If we hire a candidate from that, we will have 100% staffing in our line division.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All set?
I have one more question. I have 3 of them written down.
Sure.
So now my big question is, no one told me about this affordable living situation. So I had been asking about the 2.1 or $3 million from city manager that was released to us from the remainder of the toll bridges from the United Bridge Partners. Well, I haven't gotten an answer from it, and I was asking, could we use that money for our streets and maybe rebate from our electric bill or whatever? I haven't gotten a answer from that. I keep asking about the money. Well, I see on TV that these affordable living apartments. And so when they say affordable living, I think about it, and I think uptown, it's affordable living apartments. But I don't see low income. And then I think about it, I see Dana say that we're donating $2.1 million. That was on TV, so I'm like, if it's low income, where's the grass gonna be? I mean, it's an 8-story or whatever, it's not a low-income area. I'm like, it's only 1 block. I live there, I've been there all these years. How is that going to be a low-income area? It's the same thing as affordable living uptown. So it's affordable living in that area. So I'd like to know, it said the city donated money. That's the county's property. How are we involved?
So I'm going to start back at the beginning. The $3 million from the bridges, we have passed a resolution in this room to earmark that money for streets. We have not earmarked it for specific projects, but just for streets in general, and the next commission will make the decision on which streets. So
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Because guess what I did? I screenshotted, and you guys went behind my back and went up on the second floor, and I screenshotted. We never did anything with that because I was upset that we didn't use that for something else. And Dana sat right there, and I kept asking her about that $3 million, and she said she put it aside, and I said, well, why can't we do it for streets and give us some back for a rebate? And then I went in and screenshotted it, and it was back on a different agenda, again, for the $3 million. So there were 2 different pages. I did not vote that money in because I wasn't giving it up for the people. So wherever you did the $3 million, I was here on September 3rd. The same one that this one said that the mayor was here. She was not here. She recorded the mayor was here on the 3rd of September. She was not here. So all this malarkey and the crap about the money, it was a lie.
Okay, so following up on your other questions,
We have nothing to do with the county. Nothing.
The 2.1.
The market, nothing.
Do you want an answer? Commissioner Burney, I mean, you keep,
What do we have to do with the county market where they're building that?
so the 2.1.
The city gets on TV and says, we donated $2.1 million. What do we have to do with the county?
We did not donate the $2.1 million. Those dollars came from the state of Michigan, from the land bank specifically. So we didn't. I don't know where you got that from, but that's not the truth. So
Well, you better watch TV because Dana said it. You didn't watch the news?
I didn't watch that particular
Oh,
thing.
okay.
No, but the $3 million is going to streets. The 2.1 million came from the state. The thing that it has to do with the city is it's within the boundaries of the city of Bay City, and we're supportive of it. The apartments will be affordable apartments where you're talking about uptown. Those are considered market rate apartments, which are completely different from affordable apartments. The cost will be capped at 30% of a person's income. So it's
We have
completely different
nothing
situation.
to do with that. That is the county. We are the city. We have nothing to do with the county. We, the people, tried to open it up for the county market again. We were told by Bill Phillips, we were told by you, we could not use that.
Sure.
So why are we even talking about the market and what they're gonna do? She was on TV talking about the city in affordable living.
Part of local government is lobbying larger governments to try to attract funds and being a proponent of good things happening in the community that you represent. So that's what Ms. Muscat was doing, was basically going on TV and saying, this is a good thing. Hey, we could use additional funds to do even more good things. That's what that was.
Okay, then
being
on the same
general.
day, General Motors donates, what was it, $25,000 or $40,000 to nonprofit organizations. And then I look in the back and I see it say Bay City, Michigan. Bay City donates this money. I'm like, why is Bay City taking all of the credit? We didn't give the money. Where's our damn money? I'm getting frustrated here. Where's the money? Where is our money? Answer that, and I won't ask anymore. Because we have nothing to do with those affordable apartments. Nothing, because it's the county.
Okay.
Answer that question.
We're gonna move on. I don't even know how to formulate an answer. So we'll move on. Does anyone else have anything else? Seeing none, I have two things. Our next meeting will not be the first Monday because of Election Day, and we want to give staff the opportunity to be well-rested and ready for that. It's gonna be a big day, big year. Good luck to everyone who is running this year as well. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, November 12th. So it will not be on Monday, I don't remember the date, but Monday, whatever, Monday the 4th. It will be on Tuesday the 12th instead. The other thing is Maplewood Park had some upgrades to it over the summer. They are, I think they're entirely done, or they're really close to entirely done. Not entirely done, there's more to come still. But soccer fields are in, the basketball courts are in, those look fantastic. I know there's a playground is the playground done? Last time I saw it, it was around, there was a fence around it, but it's close. It looks great. Go check it out. It's cool stuff. Thank you. Next order of business is the manager's report. Does the manager wish to make any remarks?
No.
Thank you. Next order of business is public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Clements will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward, print and sign your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record.
Alex DeWitt, 329 South Erie. I first want to talk about the item I pulled, just because we as a city, with other items, when we deal with county entities in any respect, the one that comes to mind is basically the water board. We pay, or we have votes representative of the population that we take from the water intake. And yet when we do these economic projects, it seems that we are paying more of a share than what the county does. And then it seems like most of the benefits for the development go outside of the city. So between this and the funds for the Hay Bay City, it's two of the things that I know we split cost evenly with the county. But we only share right now 33% of the population within the county. But when we go and negotiate raw water rates for our citizens, the townships can absorb the cost of the increases, and they together can outvote the city almost 2-1. I think that some paradigm needs to be changed. I know that the board that does the water is not the same that does the economic development, so I know that's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but it is something that I want to have considered through the minds that are at this meeting right now, mostly the ones behind me to the left. Also, I want to address something that happened at the last meeting. Man came up and said that signs on the other side of the aisle were the Even Americans. That man is running against me for an office in the city. I just want to let the public know that as someone who can trace lineage back to the founding of Rhode Island, relations to the Bronner family in Frankenmuth, and Laura Ingalls Wilder of Little House on the Prairie, I definitely still am an American. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others?
Good evening. My name is Douglas Rise, 1728 Green Avenue. I am currently a member of the Bay City Planning Commission, and my intent tonight is to offer recognition and thanks to Lori Dufresne, who is stepping down as our president of the Planning Commission after, 8 years in that capacity. Lori served 2 terms as a city commissioner, and then from 2015 until our last meeting, last week, she has served as a Bay City Planning Commissioner and president of the commission since 2015. I wanted to especially recognize her for her service and leadership, especially working us through the 2024 master plan update. And I wish your consideration of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy Zane, 203 State Street. Just back with my friendly reminder that winter's coming and our homeless are still unhoused and scattered around the city, but are still being serviced. And I'm wondering what happened to the organizations that joined me in the encampment. I haven't heard high or hair of them outside of their buildings since. Oh, City, Bay City, next time we got an extra 2.1 million laying around. What about a safe haven or a safe rehabilitation center for our folks that are in active addiction? What about enhanced mental health services for these folks? We're forgetting the root causes of why they are in the situation that they're in. Mental health, number 1. Addiction, number 2, equals the homelessness. So we're not really addressing the core needs of the problem. This city does not have a safe haven for these folks to recover in once they've been released from intake at the mental health ward or released from jail. They can get sent out of the city, but where's their safe rehabilitation center? Where are their hands-on mental health services? And where are the street teams to get to one-on-one these people? Now I'll give you a brief update because I don't know who's doing the MDOT live, but they have not spoke to me in their most recent article. They took my live information and they said what we did. Now my organization in this community has done plenty. First weekend, we got a gal out of that encampment and sent her back to Oklahoma to her family where she belonged. 27 tents, over 100 meals, clothing, jump bags. And these folks are still needing help on the daily basis. Donations on top of donations are coming in kind, via way of people in this community. So the next time the city has 2.1 million laying around that they can generously donate to a cause, how about investing in our homeless community, mental health, a safe haven, and a place for these people to sleep at night, because it's going to be cold soon. And based off of our fake Facebook news page, the calls are rapidly coming in, sleeping in businesses, sleeping at people's houses, sleeping in the parks. Y'all went and evicted these folks without a solution, and now they're running all over the streets, still hungry, still no place to go to the bathroom 24 hours a day, still no place to wash their hands. Salvation Army's providing meals. Dream Center's providing hygiene items. Good Samaritan is doing everything they can with their funding again. I was put under the impression in my private meeting that it's not the city's responsibility, it's the organizations. So where does the city come into play with this in these homeless folks? They're residents in our community as well. We can't even find a common line in the community amongst members of how to coexist with these folks. Because instead of somebody simply knocking on a tent and saying, hey, time's up, business is open, babe, you gotta go. Here's a cup of coffee and a water. Have a good day. Instead of calling the police every time we turn around because they simply have no place to sleep. Is the front lawn open? Can they sleep here? In front of City Hall? I didn't think so. So where are they supposed to go? I have questions, and this community has a lot of questions if you haven't been paying attention to the social media pages. I'm wishing the rest of you well who are out of here, and I hope that the new commission that comes in has open ears to this. Unbelievable the amount of money that we have, but we have no money available to help those that need it the most. Mental health. I can't say it enough. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others?
Bruce Eckhart, 810 Germania. I want to bring up on the problem we're having, this drug problem here in the homeless. We're going to have it for quite a while. It's going to even get worse, just in case you didn't know, because we got what is known as an open border. It's right next door to us. You don't want to talk about it, but what I don't understand, there's people here already being flown in at night. They're getting credit cards, and they're getting places to stay. But we can't take care of the people here. We can't give us nothing to them, but these people are getting Social Security, mine, and yet they didn't fight for my country. I have two brothers, two in the Navy, one in the Army, was Korea. My son was Marine. They're all gone. They're patriotic. They love this country. And they love this country for one reason, the rule of law and the American flag and the Constitution. And we're losing that so quick. That's why when you go out, you see my sign, because I'm running for a city commissioner for Ward 6. You'll see Bruce Eckhart, but it'll be alone or it'll be with a man that believes in the Constitution and borders along the wall. These other people that run against me, they're with the other type. On the other side. And they want open borders. That means more people come in, millions and millions. And understand is they're giving these people so much incentive, free health care, everything, a debit card, $80,000. And they're going to say, guess what? You like this country? Come with the government, fight for us. Because they don't want the American peoples anymore. They don't want to get us to have our rights. They want to take our rights away from us. So that's one of the reasons I'm running for city commissioner right now. There's other things too, Bleaton City, and we got to quit giving more taxes on the residents. So what's going to happen? Ohio had 20,000 people come in there all of a sudden. They can't speak their language. They can't do nothing. And now they do. They wander all over houses. So what our ordinance is our ordinance here on loitering? You can't do nothing, I don't think. They don't speak the language, they don't do nothing. So what are you going to do, hire all kinds of people for that? Then to get in the schools? Look all these cities, New York, Chicago, California, look what's going on over there. All these people come, and they're here right now. They're being quiet because Gretchen don't want to say nothing. She's quiet right now. Wait till after election. Watch out after November 5th to January 20th. All hell will probably break out. They keep it calm right now, but be ready, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Gagliardi, 308 North Columbian. I've been thinking for about a year now of coming up and speaking up here, and now I'm inspired because most of you up here haven't done a darn thing to help anything around Bay City. And if she's going to come up here and waste 20 minutes of my time every meeting, then I'm going to come up here and take about 2 minutes to say that I'm going to wish the ones that are leaving a good time leave. I'm going to do everything I can to support the new people, like Chris here and a few others, hopefully. I only have one hobby, listening to the police scanner, and pretty soon I'm going to have to listen to the cops desperately look for a place to put people when they need a place to stay. The Samaritan will be full about 99% of the time, from what I understand. The cops are going to search, and they're going to look for hotels, and those people are going to end up on the streets, or worse, if they have a warrant, the police will probably take them into the jail sometimes out of kindness. And that's what I heard a lot last year. And some are just going to get dumped back out on the streets. And there's absolutely no plans for anybody on this commission for the last, like I said, I've been watching about a year now straight. I've made some commentaries, no plans, not $1. I hear about these organizations that do great things, but they won't open their door to house these people. All I can say is please, old people get out of here, let the new people in. Please, as a city, let's support these new leaders and make some changes around this town, because the way it's going, nobody wants to be here anymore. We're losing people. People are living on these streets, on these benches, getting pushed around by the police on orders to blow up this tent city, push them out of here down to there. Where are they going to go now? They're going to go all over the place. I'm just the scanner guy that's going to listen to it. The new commission coming in, the new mayor, whoever it is, the old blood getting out of here that's destroyed this city, just get out of the way and let's make some positive changes in this damn city.
Thank you. Are there any others? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to special orders. I'm sorry, public hearing. Of which we have 3. If there's no opposition, I'd like to do them all together. Commissioner Clements, are you objecting?
No, I was going to make that motion to combine all 3.
Okay. All right, I'll proceed forward then. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding public hearing item number 1, resolution regarding application from Dave Dittenberg, Campbeber Management LLC for a 12-year obsolete rehabilitation exemption certificate located at 814 Saginaw in the amount of $74,470. Public hearing number 2, repeal of the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 74, offenses, Section 74-33, loitering. And public hearing item number 3, resolution to request DNR study of Saginaw River wake zones. Is there a motion? We don't need a motion for this part, I'm sorry. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Clements will serve as the timekeeper. Is there a motion now? Commissioner Clements.
Move to allow for public hearings 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg?
Second.
Thank you. If anyone wishes to address the commission regarding public hearing item number 1, please come forward. Print and sign your name in the registration sheet and state your name and address for the record. And I apologize, items 1, 2, or 3. So any of the public hearings, please come forward and state which one you're talking about.
Alex, we're 39 South Erie. I'm going to have a comment on 2 and then a little back end for 3. As for number 2, at last week's South End Citizens District Council meeting, this was brought up during the meeting, and through discussion from those who were there, that anything that somebody who was there wanted to know why we were removing this, and it was explained by the public safety officer there that it is not enforceable. This person then asked, well, what can we do if we want to put something out like this on the books? And it came to the resolution of this has to be removed to have any sort of, before we can start over with the process. So for the people who were looking at this and saying, well, now we're not going to be able to do anything, they haven't been able to do anything for years because of how this is written. If you're someone who wants to do this and push people with crimes on stuff that is currently not enforceable federally, then you have to start over. And some people who don't understand that, and hopefully they can understand that if they want to try to do something like this again, if we have to start from scratch, we can't just alter what we have. As for number 3, I want to make a note that if this does pass all the way through and we get a green light and everything goes to how we want it, the only way we're going to get that change is if we can change the reputation of how voters interact with the city, because it's going to take a while for word of mouth to spread that, hey, you can now glide, not fly, glide through Bay City at 35 instead of having to just crawl. So hopefully that will be a plan on the back burner for promotion of that statewide, that you can now come all the way through at near full speed. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to special orders. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Special Order Item 1, Commission as a Whole Resolution regarding application from David Dittenber of Camper Management LLC for a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate located at 814 Saginaw in the amount of $74,470. Recommendation approved.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Brunner?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Hilliker?
Second.
And is there discussion? Commissioner Burney?
Are you saying, excuse me, is this 814 Saginaw Street? Or
Correct.
Saginaw, Michigan?
No, the street. It
Because
just
it's not saying the street.
It doesn't.
Is that the Y in that area?
No.
Oh, no, you're talking way down by the water. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on special order number 1?
Commissioner Hilliker?
Yes.
Grunberg?
Yes.
Clements?
No.
Morris?
No.
Rivet?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
5 yes.
Motion is adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item?
Special Order Item 2, City Manager recommending the repeal of the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 74, Offenses, Section 74-33, Loitering. Recommendation approve.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Clements?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Morris?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No discussion? I read through this ordinance, and it's a time capsule of a weird time in American history. If you get the chance to read through it, I'm glad that we're getting rid of it. I hope that we're getting rid of it. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Runberg?
Yes.
Clements?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Rivet?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Hilliker?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion is adopted. Will the clerk please call the next item?
Special Order Item 3, Commissioner Clements' resolution requesting the DNR to perform a study of the Saginaw River wake zones within the city limits. Recommendation approve.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Clements?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Brunner?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Clements?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Rivet?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion is adopted. Next order of business is the regular agenda. Will the clerk please read the next item on the regular agenda?
From consent, item 4, a city manager recommending agreement with Bay Future Inc., Bay City, for conducting activities aimed at stimulating economic growth in Bay County in the amount of $100,000 annually for 3 years.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Clements?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Morris?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Rivet,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Runberg,
Yes.
Clements.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the next item of business?
From consent, item 11, Commission as a whole resolution approving application for a 6-year extension of the obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate for 966 LLC located at 966 East Midland.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Clements?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Brenner?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Clements?
Yes, thanks. I took this off the agenda, and to be honest, I want to vote no on it, but I'm going to vote yes because I voted for the original one. And the reason I voted no on the other one is I hope moving forward that the next commission takes a good hard look at these, because what I'm starting to see is a lot of these are just, they're literally just a giveaway, and you get, what does the city get back? Yeah, you get a rehabilitation. I mean, were they going to do it with or without the tax exemption? And, you know, my angst with 966 LLC is, you know, the property owner there, when we had the big bass fishing events that were right next door, never did a thing. And then we even held an event there. Probably had 40, 50 people there connected to the bass fishing tournament where everybody was paying out of their pocket. He wasn't even there. Didn't even say thank you the next day or the day after. So I'm going to vote yes on it just because I voted yes on the original, but I hope this next commission looks hard at these things and holds these entities accountable. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any others? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Rivet,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Runberg,
Yes.
Clements,
Yes.
Morris.
No.
6 yes.
Motion is adopted. And next order, it's still regular agenda. Will the clerk please read, I believe, the last item, tonight's agenda?
Regular agenda item 1, Commissioner Rivet's resolution regarding posting and hiring of positions.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Commissioner Rivet?
Move.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Burney?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Rivet?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my duties as director of the State Land Bank Authority, I occasionally have opportunities to visit other municipalities and their regular meetings, their business meetings. A bit ago, I had the opportunity to attend the city of Ionia for a work-related activity, but it just so happened that night they hired a public safety director. And this is the process they used. They posted the position. They screened applicants. They came up with 3 finalists. The city manager, at that point, reached out to the commander of the local state police post, as well as a police chief in a similar-sized community in a neighboring county, and the 3 of those folks created an interview committee. And they interviewed the 3 finalists and ranked and scored them. The next phase is they engaged a police training company, a private company that does police training across the state and region. And they asked that company to create what they called an in-basket assessment, essentially a written examination for the 3 finalists, and they administered a 2-hour examination to each of the 3 finalists, and they used an impartial process to judge those 3 examinations, and then the city manager took the rank scores of the examination process and the rank scores of the interview process, and it turns out there was a clear winner. That individual was offered and accepted the position. What do we do in Bay City? We hire our buddies, right? So, as an aside, the deputy chief in that community, and this is a community much smaller than Bay City, came in a distant second. We have the opportunity to show the people of Bay City that they deserve better. They deserve professionalism. They deserve approach to governing that gives us the best possible people doing the best possible job for our citizens. And we have the opportunity right now to show that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others? Commissioner Hilliker?
So I understand what you're trying to do with this, and I support it. I think that we do a decent job, you know, screening our individuals. My biggest concern was with your first clause that says, and I'm hoping you can just have a friendly amendment here, but amend it to state the city commission appointments. Since we're not technically employees, we are elected, and so there's not really anything that the manager can do to screen us. That happens with the votes. So, you know, in there you do list us, but I think you mean with appointments, and I think it just needs that clarification if we're going to make this a rule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think that requirement's necessary because the charter and the rules require it anyway, so it's just redundant. But, I mean, as you're well aware, there's a 30-day posting requirement for city commissioners. And so, you know, that's built into our current system. This would just address everything else.
I'm sorry, your resolution actually does just states city commission employment of, and I'm asking to add appointments into that so that it does specify that.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so I just want to clarify one thing specific from that exchange. The commissions referred to in the charter is actually referring to like the Planning Commission, the Historic District Commission, so on and so forth. It is up to us how we appoint. So the 30-day window does not apply to us. That's something that I spoke with Mr. Wackerly about in the past on that specific question. So just for clarification, so we're all on the same page there. Commissioner Hilliker, did you want to officially make that amendment and put the wording in? You just want to tell us, and then you can write it. Is there any other discussion while Commissioner Hilliker does that? Commissioner Clements?
Yes, I just have some questions, and I don't know if Commissioner Rivett can answer them or if we need to suspend the rules and have HR answer them regarding, does this have any effect on any contracts that are in place, anything like that?
If you want to make a motion to suspend
Yeah, I'd
the
make a
rules.
motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, is there any objection to suspending the rules? Seeing none, Mr. Tucker?
Yeah, I just wondered, like, with current, any collective bargaining agreements or anything that this may have an effect on, because a collective bargaining agreement would take precedence over a resolution from the commission, the way I understand it.
Yeah, the hiring practices are largely governed by those collective bargaining agreements. There are some outlying cases, but most of them are governed.
Microwave, or microphone, please. Microwave.
Yeah, most of them are largely governed by the collective bargaining agreements that the city engages with local unions.
So a resolution, if this passes tonight, that the collective bargaining agreement has to be followed up, secondary of any resolution, correct?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
All set?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, we'll leave the rules suspended because I see other commissioners. Commissioner Burney was first, and then Commissioner Rivett.
In the charter, what it says is that you can't have two jobs if you're sitting on, like a board. So he is a police officer. That means he cannot be a manager. You have to be gone at least a year from a position. So that means, that's double jeopardy. I mean, that's rule in the charter book that he is not allowed to sit on two seats.
Could you specify who you're speaking about?
Pardon me?
Could you specify who you're speaking about? What's
The officer. So is he taking city manager's place, or is he just, because he's sitting in her seat? So, obviously, if he's sitting in her seat, that means that he has taken her seat. He is working as a city manager. Obviously, he's sitting there. So that means in the charter, it says you have to leave the city as a job for at least a year before you even sit on another seat. But I'm seeing here that he works here as a police officer. He works in the city. And now he's sitting at the same time on a seated position. So in the charter, that is not acceptable. So, why is he sitting up there?
Just filling in for the night, that's it. She can't be here, so she asked me to fill in.
Okay, that's not acceptable still. You're not supposed to be there. Tony Raz is supposed to be there. But, business is business. I'm just saying you're sitting in as a position for a city manager. And to be honest with you, that is private information that you're sitting there looking at. That's very private information.
So, Mr. Reyes couldn't be here tonight, and the public safety director is third in charge in the hierarchy within the administration side of the city. So Mr. Rawl is just filling in for the night. And the clause in the charter that you're referring to is for the elected officials. We have to go away for at least a year before we can get a non-elected job. So like if I don't know, Commissioner Clements leaves in January, he has to wait a year before he comes back and has some other job within the city. Not that he's going to do that, I don't think at all. He's interested.
That's for all positions in the charter.
No, ma'am.
If not, could you please get that for me and have that on my desk, the rule, the charter rule, because I have the charter rule, so if it's changed in some type of way, could you please have that for me?
It's the same charter. Commissioner Rivett?
Surely there is not a union contract that prohibits the posting of positions to be hired in the city of Bay City.
So some of the contracts dictate whether they're posted internally first for a number of days. And then they're posted
But they
externally.
all require posting and a process for hiring.
Typically, yes, they do. Yes, yep.
I assume so. Our biggest problem, of course, is the non-union hire and city manager appointments, but that's not an issue. The unions are not an issue in this case. Obviously, they all had to be posted in a process, and every contract I've ever seen in my existence would require that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any others? Commissioner Hilliker?
I have that amendment.
Can we wait until we come back in the regular order? Thank you. Any others before we go back into the regular order? I just have one question. I know, and going back to the union thing, I just want to confirm, and I think this is the case, but I just want to make absolutely certain. I I know some of the contracts have like a promotion schedule from like apprentice to journeyman and so on and so forth. Does this have any mutual exclusivity to that?
So if I understand your question correctly, are you asking, would this resolution as it's written conflict with that?
Correct. So
Yes.
if we have an apprentice electrician working in the electric department and that person makes it to, I think it's 3 years before they become a journeyman, that at that 3-year mark, they wouldn't automatically become a journeyman anymore. They would have to go through a hiring process.
We don't automatically promote individuals like that.
Okay.
Or I guess if I'm understanding you correctly, we typically would interview in those situations if they're promoting. Now, if you're talking about when they have to get their hours and promote, then they typically just promote up into that job. If I'm understanding you correctly.
I'm referring to the hours position.
Yes, yeah. This would have some conflict on that. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way that we can tweak it to not cause problems with that? Commissioner Rivet, I'm sorry.
This is somebody that's employed by the city already, right? I mean, the promotional processes within. What we're talking about is hiring for new positions. So, you know, this is not rocket science, right? We have no DEI effort. We don't post positions if somebody's a friend to somebody, right? That's all this is getting into. And so all I'm looking for is when we hire a new position, there is a process and a posting. That's all this does. The promotion, all those kinds of things. I mean, if we're not getting into contracts here. We're talking about newly hired people in the city of Bay City.
Okay. I appreciate the clarification. I'm supportive, just to be clear. I just want to make absolutely certain everything is above board. Anything else anyone wants to say before we go back? Okay, I need a motion to go back into regular order of business. Commissioner Hilliker.
Move to go back into the regular order of business.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Commissioner Hilliker. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any objections to going back into the regular order of business? Okay, seeing none, now we're in the regular order of business. Commissioner Hilliker.
So, Commissioner Rivet, I understand what you're trying to do, and our questions are so that we can make that clear, and this can continue on and be a good resolution. As it's written, it leaves those questions as gray areas. So that's why we're doing this, right? We're making sure that those concerns don't conflict. So I see you're getting frustrated, and I just want to let you know, like, that's why we're doing this. You know, we're not doing this as any obtuse way other than making sure that the resolution does what it's intended to do and lasts longer than even Ms. Muscat's time as a manager.
All set. Commissioner Burney?
I'm just going to put it plain as day. If you're doing this to people that are applying for jobs, this looks like you're giving them to your friends. It does not look like you're posting jobs for other people. And that is unacceptable. If there is a job opening, then you post that job. So this is showing what is going on in this chambers, in this building, especially when you have Human Services come up here and when he tried to tweak it, and when Commissioner Dockett, the mayor, he even brought it out of his mouth and he was honest about it, and he says, well, maybe we can tweak it. So that shows me that possibly this is what's been going on. So with that being said, maybe Miss Commissioner Hilliker, you can write a resolution, since you've been talking about writing the resolution, and make sure that we do get out applications for the proper people to get jobs. And thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others? Commissioner Hilliker, you still have to make the actual motion if you're going to make the change.
That's what I was doing. Motion to amend the resolution to to have it state, therefore let it be resolved, all new positions in the city of Bay City from city commission appointments to any entry-level part-time employment positions will be posted, require applications for employment, and engage in a screening process.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Rivett?
Sorry, point of discussion. New positions, new hires, not new positions, right? Because we're not creating new positions here. The city manager could say, oh, this economic development director has been that's the same position, been around 35 years, so I'm going to hire my buddy. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Fair enough.
That's fair. It said employment positions originally, so now we'll read, therefore let it be resolved. All new hire positions in the city of Bay City from city commission appointments to any entry-level part-time employment positions will be posted, require applications for employment, and engage in a screening process.
Looks like everybody's happy. Is there a second? Commissioner Morris?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the amendment or on the item? Okay, seeing none, so we'll have the clerk call the roll on the item as amended. Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, I guess, are there any objections to the amendment? Okay, seeing none. Now will the clerk please call the roll on the item as amended?
Commissioner Burney,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Runberg,
Yes.
Clements,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Rivet.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion is adopted, and Madam Clerk, is that all we have for tonight?
Yes, it is.
All right, if there's nothing else,